Now to a controversial story developing here in Tampa. Immigration officials have just arrested a 23-year-old Florida student just 3 days after a jury acquitted him on federal explosive charges. Youssef Megahed was arrested in the parking lot of a Wal-Mart store Monday, where he had gone shopping with his dad. He had just begun a fast to celebrate his acquittal on Friday. Megahed's attorneys say he now faces deportation proceedings, apparently on the same charges for which he was found not guilty. Megahed is a legal permanent resident here in the United States. He's lived here since he was 11 years old with his family. His case is already drawing comparisons to another Tampa case, the prosecution of the former University of South Florida professor Sami Alarian. Alarian was jailed despite a jury not returning a single guilty verdict against him. For more on this story now, I'm joined by Ahmed Badir. He is co-host of True Talk, a global affairs show focusing on Muslim issues around the world and in the United States. It airs Fridays here in Tampa on the radio station WMNF. Ahmed is president of the Tampa Human Rights Council, a 34-year-old organization in the Tampa Bay area. And we're joined by Youssef Megahed's father. His name is Samir Megahed. He was with his son Youssef on Monday, yesterday, in Wal-Mart when Youssef got a call from his lawyer. We're going to start with Samir. Samir, welcome to Democracy Now! Can you tell us what happened?
What happened yesterday or starting from Friday? Starting from Friday, I'm very happy and I'm proud for my son because he's innocent. After Judge Stephen Meredith said twice that my son is not guilty, I feel happiness and I'm very proud because the system is work, sorry, and I feel happiness because the jury choose the right end for the bad story which upon my son for 2 years. After that, I took my son from the court and we returned to our house and we start to celebrate his win in this case. We go to the beach Saturday and Sunday. Yesterday, around noon o'clock, I took my son to buy something from Wal-Mart, which in Bruce B. Downs. When we receive a call from our lawyer that we must meet him immediately for some reason. That's why we left the shop, and when we go to the parking lot, we found ourselves surrounded by more than 7 people. They dressing normal clothes without any badges, without any ID, surrounded us and give me a paper and they told me, sign this. Sign this for what? I asked him, this what? They told me you are going to take your son because we are going to deport him. I told him there is no penalty or anything upon my son to take him from me. And I told him, do you have an Arabic translation for those papers to sign it for you? He told me no. I asked him about the badge, but he refused to show me any badge or any ID, and they surrounded me and took my son from me and put him in a normal car, not a minivan, not police cars. It is only a car with dark glasses. You cannot see anybody inside it. But there is a driver on it because when they put him in this car, they move without anyone entering as the driver. I tried to stop in front of this car because I asked this person who showed me this paper that we must speak to our lawyer. And my son must speak to him to let him know that somebody took him. I don't know if they are from FBI, from policemen, or from immigration. I don't know. But they refuse, and when I tried to give my son the telephone, they surround me and push me in front of the car, and they move quickly. But they are more than 7, and they have more than 5 cars, because when they surrounded us, they are in front of me, back of me, around me, from all directions. And
I just want to bring Ahmed Badir into this conversation, who's been covering this for WMNF. Ahmed, the context of this story, that Youssef, engineering student, University of South Florida, just about to graduate, that he was acquitted on Friday of these explosive charges. Explain what happened.
Well, originally, Youssef and a friend of his, another USF student who was a PhD candidate, were on a road trip in August of 2007 up into the Carolinas, and they were stopped for speeding. And evidently, when they searched the car, the police, the deputies in that area suspected that there was some pipe bombs in the trunk. The driver, Ahmed Muhammad, who was also a friend of Youssef that was driving the car, said, no, these are homemade fireworks. These are not any type of explosives. The government disagreed, and they charged both students with transporting what they called low-grade explosives and not fireworks. And there was some terrorism implications on there. Troublesome also for Youssef's co-defendant was they found some sort of video that he had uploaded to the website YouTube demonstrating how to change some sort of toy car in a remote detonator. Megahed and even his friend who made the video and confessed to it said, you know, Youssef Megahed didn't know anything about this video, didn't know what was in the contents of the trunk and any of these things. But even though he admitted solely to that, the government still went forward with the charges against Youssef and charged him with transporting explosives and possession of a destructive device. After a lengthy trial and 3 days or 4 days of deliberation, the jury came back with a complete acquittal, not guilty on all charges, and they were free on Friday. That was Friday evening.
So the jury agreed that Megahed didn't know about the contents of the trunk. Isn't this double jeopardy to arrest him again, essentially on the same charges?
I mean, if you look overall, as far as the Constitution, it is a form of double jeopardy, but the way the government gets around that, they said, well, these are civil immigration charges. They're not double jeopardy, and that's how historically they've been. In select cases, they've been going around it. Similarly, for example, the Miami 7 case of those African-American and Haitian people that were alleged to have wanting to blow up the Sears Tower, they had mistrials twice, and a few of them were completely acquitted. One of those people, who was a permanent legal resident that was completely acquitted, faced deportation charges afterwards on the exact same charges. So some people have speculated that this is a form of punishment. When the government doesn't win in federal court and criminal court, then their backup plan was to punish them in immigration. I mean, the timing of it. And there's been some talk also that they had planned to arrest him Friday as soon as he was acquitted as a plan B, but thought that maybe it would be too bad of a public relations nightmare to, as soon as he gets acquitted by the jury, walks outside and then gets arrested.
Youssef's family was ecstatic on Friday when he was acquitted, and his father did something unusual in the courtroom.
It started with many people. He walked over to the prosecution, the people that have been after his son for a couple of years now, and shook their hands, extended his hand. They shook hands with the prosecution team and the FBI themselves, and then also shook hands with the judge. The judge shook hands with Youssef and wished him good luck in your future. And they thought that they were, you know, the case was over.
Samir Megahed, why did you shake hands with the prosecution, with the FBI, with the judge?
I want to thank them about what they do with my son, because they try to make him guilty, but the facts approve that he's innocent and not guilty in both charges.
Are you able to visit him now, once again in detention?
No.
Let me ask Ahmed where this case goes from here.
I mean, you know, it's a completely different animal, different ballgame when it goes in immigration court. Now he's being transported down to Miami, where the burden of proof on the government in immigration civil court for deportation is much, much less than a federal criminal court. It's not beyond reasonable doubt. There's no independent jury. It's up to one judge to make the decisions, and he could be locked up indefinitely until he's deported, as long as he keeps fighting this. And, what this raises in questions for many people, especially human rights advocates and others, is that, when the new president was voted into office, he said there's going to be a new way forward, especially when dealing with the Muslim world. And in this case, yesterday he was in Turkey talking about better relations with the Muslim world. I think the Muslim world is looking at one of the signs if relations are going to be improving is how the president and the new administration treats Muslim Americans and Muslims right here. How can we want to reach out to Muslims around the world and extend, build better relations when the relations are not so good at home? I
want to thank you both for being with us. Ahmed Badir of WMNF, and speaking to us on the phone is Samir Megahed. He is the father of Youssef Megahed, who has just been taken into detention 3 days after he was acquitted by a federal jury.